I don't know about you, but I feel a little bit better. A little bit better that the big orange man came back. It's almost like Uncle Donnie went out for milk, but he came back. Like, he didn't just take off to go and sow his oats or anything like that. He came back. And we were promised a lot of things, so now we're going to see how those things start to possibly unfold. But to further the discussion, let's just pause for a second and say hello to our friend Jason. Hello, Jason.
Hey, bud.
How you doing?
Dream weaving. It's good to be back.
Dream
It's
weaving.
been a minute.
Hey, well, we're happy to have you. Tell us how you feel about old Uncle Donnie. He's back home in the White House, the circle room.
He came back with his cigarettes and milk.
Yeah,
and he's ready to put in work for another 4 years.
Full flavored cools.
He's in
and skim milk.
He's back. I'm very excited, man. Like, I think there's a lot of things to be excited about, and I think there's a lot of people out there that have trepidation over. They've been fear-mongered so wonderfully by legacy media.
Yep.
That they're scared about something that's not going to happen. And I think that's going to be one of those great surprises of the next year or so, is when they start to really see the things as they are. Because I'd say, for those of you out there, and I know Richie and I get to do this, and Richie does it a hell of a lot more than I do, so I'm just happy when I get involved, is be able to talk about the things that we notice that are going on.
Yeah.
Because we're not spoon-fed like we were by legacy media for years and years and decades upon decades. And so people are starting to actually see what's happening because they're living it, they're experiencing it, and then other people are talking about it, which makes them not feel like the weirdo in the room. And I think Orange Man making his triumphant return is going to be a wonderful thing. And anybody out there that's been paying any attention, you saw over the weekend, there's a new agency rolling out, my brother.
Which is?
It's not the internal system for taxation. The IRS is going to have the ERS?
Okay. I haven't heard.
Oh, dude, this is this tariff idea, right? He's been saying a lot of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And for those of you that have done a little bit of research, our country used to run on tariffs. We never needed to take internal taxation. We're able to get our to get the funds that were necessary to fund our government in the size and state that it was at that time from outside dollars coming into our country. See, we do live in America, and I understand we don't make everything like we used to, but we certainly innovate everything on planet Earth, period. There is nobody out there that is out-pizzing the hut when it comes to innovation. And so America is still a powerhouse. America isn't in decline, as they all want to say. And I think we're going to see with that new agency stepping into the fold how quickly we can kind of turn those dials up and start bringing those dollars back in, and then hopefully start lessening our dollars going out.
Well, here's the thing about not everyone. I shouldn't say everyone because that's not true. But there's a lot of folks out there that, for whatever reason, seem to think that this tariff idea is horrible. Well, the folks that are here illegally or legally are doing the jobs, right? So we're going to cut out this, and then they're not going to do the jobs, and then we're gonna pay we're going to charge tariffs for stuff coming in, but nobody's here to do the jobs, so that the tariffs don't have to be paid. Well, and I don't know if I really understand the whole system, but it would seem to me that if we're charging tariffs to get goods and or services, and other countries don't want to pay us for whatever the tariff is for, we're going to make it ourselves. Yeah, that's the idea?
Bingo bango.
Okay. So then when folks are saying, well, but who's going to do the work? We're going to round up all the illegal aliens and the immigrants, and we're going to kick them out, and they're doing the work. They're the ones working at Genio packaging turkeys, and they're the ones that are assembling computer chips, and they're the ones that are doing all the manufacturing work that Americans don't want to do because it's beneath them and they're lazy and blah, 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 whatever the story is. Well, guess what? When they're homeless and destitute, they're going to want to have a job, right?
Well, that's all bullshit and nonsense anyway, because it's the price of the goods as they come in. And no manufacturing done outside of this country isn't heavily leveraged outside of our favor. And so what we can produce things for here with good paying jobs is absolutely viable, and it will be. And so a lot of these things that they're talking about, it's nonsense. And I want to use the other word for it, but again, it's that here we're taxing internally through the Internal Revenue Service. Sorry, apparently that's going to be my tough word tonight. But the External Revenue Service kicking on, it basically starts to, I won't call it repatriate dollars, but what it does, it puts them on the hook where they're not making those huge margins like they have been.
Right.
And so if those huge margins are being paid by the country that wants to bring these goods and services, or the goods, it's not the services, but the goods to our country, they're paying that freight, which does lessen the demand on our tax dollars. So even if you just lost the taxation value that you're already losing in your money and you add that back in, you're getting maybe a 24 to 32% increase in your purchasability with the dollars that you're making. So if you're not paying taxes anymore, and believe you me, that's a long shot, and nowhere and in this chat are we talking about like taxes are going to go away. But if they're able to start working towards those pieces, it's the shell game. It's you still have to spend $1, but if you can get somebody else to pay 30 cents and then you get a little more purchase power on your back end, now the length of your dollar spend is going to be greater. We've all been through these last 4 years, and we feel what that dollar feels like when it doesn't go as far.
Yeah.
Right. So
Absolutely.
Now we're gonna lengthen the dollar back. We're gonna give it legs. We're gonna make the dollar work again. And I think we're far too accustomed in the past 4 years to hearing how we're gonna fix the dollar. Well, you're not gonna fix the dollar unless you're going to produce more of it. So what do you have to do? You have to get your dollar to work outside of your borders to ensure that the dollar actually does what it used to do.
Well, and I think also, I think that there's a lot of folks that are, when they, especially folks that claim to strongly dislike Donald Trump, I think one of the things that they all hang their hat on is disliking him as a person. And I think that people on that side, and I guess it maybe doesn't know any side, but I think there's folks that equate him to being bad based on how other folks may feel or how other folks may be affected by the actions that he plans to take, if that makes sense. And what I appreciate about Mr. Trump is that that's not the first thing on his list. I think that if we really stop to think and ponder what it is and actually read and educate ourselves about some of the things that he talks about wanting to do, all of these other things that are going to impact the poorer people or lower income folks, people that are at a disadvantage, however you want to spin that, just by natural causes of the way change comes, they're going to be lifted up.
100%, man.
And so, like this knee-jerk reaction or knee-jerk emotion that folks have, it sometimes seems unreasonable. Well, yeah.
Only when they're talking.
Well, yes. But it's like, just stop and think about it for a minute. I don't believe that, and maybe I'm naive for saying this, but I don't really believe that, I don't know. I guess I don't believe that Donald Trump is trying to take over the world. I think that he does have a vested interest in the country being successful, of course, but I really think that he cares about us as a country, as a nation, as a civilization of people, or a constituency, if you will.
Yeah.
And so doing these things is not only going to make our lives better in the short term, but I think it may set us up for future success long after he's gone.
I would think so.
But folks like to think now, well, all these people are going to be kicked out and rounded up and this and that, and folks are going to suffer. Well, I don't know. I think that if you get your ass up out of bed every day and you go to work and you work hard and you do the right thing, remain law-abiding, cooperate with the community standards in your area, wherever it is you're at, you'll be just fine.
Right. Well, and if you talk to any farmer, farmers have not made any money the last 4 years.
Weren't they forced to destroy crops also?
We've had all sorts of bullshit fly through our farming community. I mean, if people actually understood, if you sat down and you talked to a local farmer and hear their stories about the price controls when it comes to the acquisition of seeds, when it comes to selling your grain or whatever it is that you're growing, it's all mandated and set by the government. And then half of the shit that we grow in America doesn't even stay here. Like somehow it's easier for us to grow corn, send that to another country, and then we import corn in a leveraged deal that ends up costing us more because we're the affluent country. Like none of this makes sense.
That's ass backwards.
It's absolutely ass backwards, and everything is done under the guise of equity and all these other bullshit terms that don't really account for any one specific. Well, they account for somebody, but they don't account for the average American success. Like what our president and our government need to be there. Our government needs to be there to provide specific services that can't otherwise be done by individuals, right? Those are the things that theoretically the government needs to be there for. Mm-hmm. But then what they do is they overplay their hand. They build the bureaucracy. They put a bunch of dopes and say, let's just say at this thing we're talking about farming. You know, and Trump was very good about that. He got a lot of the people that didn't need to be engaged in it out of the room. Like, why do you need to have all these people that set the prices across the globe to leverage things because there's somebody in Tanzania? Now, I don't think they grow corn there, but I'm just going to use that one because it's a fun word to say. But why do we have to leverage what their corn costs are? We shouldn't have to. It doesn't matter.
Why do we care?
We don't, when we shouldn't. I mean, I hate to say it. If our house were so impeccably clean and we weren't $36 trillion in debt, fine, let's go do some good stuff everywhere else. But I think you're going to see that big clamp down on nonsense. And,
great.
You know, Orange Man Grand is kind of my feeling on it because there's a lot of people that I know in certain businesses that are going to do much better. And when they do better, they truly do pay their people more. All this bullshit that they tell you, if a company does well, it's just the big CEOs. Well, maybe that's true in pharmaceuticals and oil and everywhere else. But the vast majority of people that work for what we consider large businesses are actually scaled as small businesses in the government's eye, right? So if you've got 1,500 employees, you're a small to medium-sized business because they're so bloated and fat. They don't even know what a small business is anymore. It sure as shit isn't the guy with 4 or 6 people working for him.
Right.
It's that 1,500-person situation where they are making maybe $1 billion in business every year happen. And I assure you, the vast majority of those employees are absolutely compensated thusly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't feel bad saying it. I think that we should look out for our own first, 100% of the time. And even when and if our backyard becomes the cleanest yard on the block, we should still look out for our own first and be extremely choosy about where we decide to put our money, put our efforts, deploy our military, put our people, who takes advantage of our innovations, all of that stuff. Everybody else in the world is.
Yeah, why is it good for every other country to worry about their country, but when it comes to America, Trump was continually lambasted for being America first.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be America first. That's terrible. How the fuck is being America first a bad thing? We're in America.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody wants to have that hyphen now. African American, Asian American. They were just Americans.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
I think the most fun that we're gonna watch is in this first couple of weeks.
Oh, day one, it's gonna be interesting,
dude.
I think
Tom Homan.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to seeing how the network news spins whatever's going to happen.
Oh man, they're gonna crucify that guy on the news.
They're gonna have him with the little mustache and a bunch of brown shirts and other and it's all bullshit.
They'll have SS little collars on him, all kinds of stuff. I hope he goes to Chicago first, like he said he might.
You don't think they have this whole thing set up?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
I guarantee, like everybody that works in DHS right now, like in this weekend leading up to the first week back at work under the old regulations and rules, dude, these guys are pre-gaming. They're pre-moved right now. Like we all knew what that feeling was like before you went on, if you're doing a security convoy or if you're going out on mission. I mean, now is the time where you throw your headset on. You probably listen to Phantom of the Opera if you're the great Richard Leonard.
Yeah.
Or you're dope like me, you're listening to Paolo Nutini, New Shoes.
What the hell are you talking about?
For those that know. You cannot be in a bad mood listening to that song.
Panalawa Nulini?
Paolo Nutini. And the song is Blue Shoes.
Okay, Blue Shoes. Okay, cool.
I'll tell you.
I can understand that. Pananawa Nulini? You can't even say that.
Pualo.
Puala.
Don't ask me how to spell it. Pualo.
Pualo. If this guy or gal ever hears this, I'm really sorry.
Dude, no, it's this crazy song. It's great. It's just this upbeat.
I don't know. You guys should check it out. Pananawa Nulini. I can't even say it twice
Not
wrong.
that we have any pull, but I guarantee whatever just happened brought him down even further in any lines.
I'm really sorry, Mr. Manini.
But they are.
I'm sorry.
But they got new shoes on and they're getting ready to go. And I don't know. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen because there's all this fear of what possibly it might look like. There's a lot of excitement for what some people want it to look like. And I think once we see it roll out, that's going to be that new, it's going to be the reality of our day. And I think that's exciting and new because I want to see some change. I mean, how many shows did we do about a broken border?
Oh, man, a lot.
Right? And all these people that got here, and I'm not saying that every person that got here is a terrible person, but there's certainly a bunch of shitbags that worked their way through.
Well, yes, and you're right. Not everyone here is a terrible person, but everybody that crossed that border not through a point of entry is a criminal.
It's a criminal act, period.
And furthermore, just about every other country in the world, if Americans were to do that, if we were to go to Argentina and just walk over the border and set up shop, you don't think they're going to kick us out?
Oh, we're gone, man.
Right? Walk into Mogadishu, throw up an American flag on the corner of some busy street, and start selling, coney dogs out of a cart and demand that your customers speak English. You ain't going to be there long.
And identify yourself as an American Somali.
Yep, right. Yeah. You're not getting a permit to sell coney dogs there tomorrow.
No.
If you make it through the day. So I don't know. I don't like to make it seem like I'm not supportive of immigration because I honestly believe that there are immigrants in this country that have done amazing things. My mother is a first-generation immigrant. She came to this country when she was 12, 13, 14 years old. But my grandfather did it the legal way through Ellis Island and all that other stuff. So it is possible to come here from your own homeland and be a contributing member to the society and reap the benefits of being an American citizen. And I don't have any problem with that.
No, but that's how you do it, right? And that's the craziest thing about what people are so pissed at Trump about is you set a standard. It's like going into a job. You have a job title and you have a role that's laid out for you. You have to go do that job. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. Your feelings need to be thrown away when it comes to following the rule of law. If you really want to do something about it, then change the law. Why do we have these politicians that continually pander to people talking about how, we need to do this or do that? If you've been in Washington, D.C. for 20 years,
Yeah.
and it hasn't been important enough for you to write some legislation to make those changes, you don't just get to force your will because you have the will of feelings. I think the vast majority of people understand that. Right, wrong, or indifferent, your feelings don't matter when it comes to rules.
So if you've been a lawmaker for 20 years and you haven't made a damn law yet, or at least attempted to make a law yet by writing legislation, what the hell are you telling your constituents at campaign time?
But that's the best part.
Hey, we're just voting on everyone else's good ideas. Keep it up.
Yeah.
How stupid is their constituency?
Well, we are, but we're lulled. We're lulled to quiet subserviency through media. There's no question that we've been manipulated over time here to not believe our eyes. God gave us eyes for a reason. We have to be able to see these things and understand them. There is no way, if you're, boy, I don't even know how to say this.
Well, not only eyes, but spidey senses, right? Like when you know, like I don't know, I heard it all the time in the military. If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck and flaps wings like a duck, it's a goddamn duck, right? Like sometimes the answer is right in front of your face, but like you said, we've been trained to not believe our eyes.
Right.
And it's stupid.
Well, it's absolutely foolish, right? Trump didn't do anything until he became president. And nobody can do anything as president. But in 4 years, he did a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. You know? And every time as a politician, I just need another 4 years. I just need another 4 years. You know, Donald Trump came in for 4 years, and he broke everything. Apparently, it's all ruined.
Yeah.
Because these guys have done such a bang-up job of keeping this rickety old ship afloat. He walked in, knocked off some barnacles, sped her up a little bit, did a little shifting and changing in its speed and direction. And then magically these guys come in and they just shit all over the floor again.
And I don't know. I don't believe that he'll have to. I don't think he'll have to say even once in this administration that he's taking. He'll never have to say, well, you know, I was left with a disaster. He'll never have to say that. We all know.
He's going to say it.
Well, he doesn't. Okay, he might.
He's gonna say it.
But he doesn't need to.
He doesn't need to. Like,
we all know. This whole place is a disaster.
There's not one piece of this thing that isn't going to get kind of ripped. I mean, when you've had the last couple of weeks, you know, didn't we listen to, and we got Ty in here, you know, and Ty and I, we only watch the news at lunch. And so we were grabbing lunch and it was on and we were watching Hegseth get grilled. It was all gotcha moment bullshit. Right? None of it was of substance. Like everybody was glancing and glossing over the fact this guy had a 2-decade-long career. He has service medals that are in the upper echelon of those that can be awarded.
Yeah.
And somehow we have to talk about his time at Fox News and that maybe he came in a little bit drunk. I don't even care if that happened because I can assure you I have certainly gone to work. Well, in a state that I would consider hungover, but we all know better.
Still drunk.
Probably.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, these people that are sitting there talking about like that is the most incredulous thing that's ever happened. What a joke.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're not alone. I've shown up to work in the past, and my breath smells like a bar mat. Right. 1,000%. But I think here's what happened for Mr. Hegseth, and we went over this on the show, both here, DisGRUNTled and the Richard Leonard show. But I think that the Democrats know they don't have the votes to not confirm him. They already know that.
It's done.
So what they were trying to do, just like they did with Pam Bondi, was try to get him to admit that he believes this or thinks that way, or he's going to do this, or he's going to condemn that thing, so that when he is confirmed, because they know they can't stop it, then they're going to use these things against him to try to censure him or get him out of there or whatever they want to do. And I think he did a really good job at just saying, Like when they were drilling him about his ex-wife and cheating on his ex-wife and had a baby with some other woman while he was still married to his ex-wife and blah, 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 blah. And he was like, hey, it was all, I was investigated. I was cleared. It's over with. All these allegations that they were speaking of, the drunkenness and sexual harassment and taking his employees to the strip clubs and all this mess. There was no proof. There was no evidence. There was no name. There was no phone number, no email. It was just some anonymous person calling in to stir up trouble.
Right.
So produce the truth or the proof, or we're not going to even talk about it. Who's next? And I think that, if it was me, I guess you just have the mindset, hey, these people only got 5 minutes apiece. So when somebody who's going to try to smear your name, it's only 5 minutes.
Right.
He's had a whole lot rougher 5 minutes in his life.
Right. Well, I'd say, in his 20-year career.
Yeah.
That man has eaten some shit sandwiches that people can only dream of. Yeah. And that's my favorite takeaway from that whole thing. Is he was asked one question in specificity that I loved. How many genders are there?
2.
The man took no time at all to answer, because it is a very simple question. But how many times have we seen Republicans using that tactic where they ask somebody how many genders are there, and then they go into a long, drawn-out answer that doesn't really answer anything, and they talk about other theories or whatever the case is that they wanted to just yammer on about. He actually just answered the question. So either like him or dislike him, he answered the question.
Yeah.
That's what I appreciate the most, because I could assure you, if any of these politicians were working for anybody listening, and you asked them why they were late that day, and they went on a 3-minute explanation about all the rhymes of reasons why it came to pass that they were unable to be at the location requested. Because, see, that's what it is. It's all bullshit. It's a drawn-out story.
Yeah.
You were either at work on time or you weren't. And they will tell you this whole thing, and they'll never actually acknowledge the actual question. And they would leave you. You would terminate them effective immediately. But, like, if you can't answer simple questions, how are you ever going to make the right decision when that time comes up? And that's where I think our culture, the veteran culture, is better. We may not make the right answer every time. But we make a decision.
True. Very true. And many times it's all that really needs to happen. Somebody just make an effing decision. If it turns out to be not the best decision, then we'll make another decision to fix it.
Well, right. And how many times has that happened to you?
All the time.
You go on mission, you've got a primary objective, you're doing the thing, and something else comes up.
Yeah.
It's really not that difficult. For anybody that wants to sit there and think that these politicians are going to be flawless in their decision-making, all they're doing is setting themselves up to be disappointed.
Right.
Because you make an educated decision with the data that you have at hand, and as soon as the data changes, which we've learned over the past 4 years, you can make data do whatever you want to, how to lie with statistics. I mean, we've seen it on a professional scale, not often seen. And so if the data is bad that you go in, you make your decision with, it's proven incorrect, you make a new decision, you drive on. Yep. It's just that easy. You don't double down on it. How many times have we watched in the past 4 years where these dipshits would double down on bad decisions?
All the time.
Right? Like, why is Rivian getting another $6 billion investment?
Rivian, the electric car
That
people?
electric car company, don't get me wrong, I got buddies that invested in it. It was a huge loser, a bunch of talk. But weird, Soros is into them for $2 billion, and they're belly up, they're gone. I mean, they're literally selling the scrap. And then all of a sudden, magically, they get more money. Like, somehow they're going to fucking do a better job than the guys that are in the space doing it. But anyway, I mean, that's kind of stuff that we see all the time.
Well, somebody's pockets need to be lined.
Well,
and then again, that's just another example, man. And if we point them out all the time, we'll spend all of our shows pointing out yet another example of somebody who's in it for money, power, and or control.
Right.
And it's I don't know, man. Somebody told me that years and years ago. If you follow the person or people or agency that stands to gain the most money and power and or control, you're usually going to find the turd in the soup.
Well, maybe that's the thing that we have to start demanding is in our public sector, making selfless service great again. You're doing it for the greater good. Like, nobody should be getting into these political positions to perform a function that starts to grease their wheels. And, of course, then there'll be people out there who say, well, that's the only reason Donald Trump did this. I can assure you, in no way, shape, who would want to get hit with the hammer of nonsense that this guy has been struck with over and over and over again?
And get shot in the face.
Wow, but was it?
Okay, in the ear.
Just kidding.
Just get shot anyway.
Right. I mean, and then he got back up and he's still doing it. I don't know. I don't know how the guy walks around. I mean, orange face with 400-pound testicles dragging behind him. I mean, he should be a Pokemon.
Just clanging on the pavement as he's walking.
Dude, it's amazing to me to see somebody that's willing to do this, and regardless of your political affiliation, to watch somebody get beaten this badly. I mean, this is our political version of the Rocky movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
I can just picture his face screaming, "Oh, Melania." I don't know. I'm stupid.
Well, but here's the thing. No matter what people say about him, no matter what people think, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, to the folks that don't want him here, that don't want him in office, that are gonna spend the next 4 years running his name through the mud, the only thing really to remember is that way more than half of this country filled in their box for him. Whether you agree with it or not, it's there. It's the truth, the popular vote, the electoral college, blah, 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 blah. He won. And not, it wasn't close. It wasn't even close. So we can say whatever we want. Whether you love him or hate him, he's here. He's going to do what he's doing. And I believe that we're all going to benefit one way or another.
Everyone.
And we're going to benefit more from his efforts and the efforts of the people around him, possibly, than the last. Not even possibly. It can't get any worse. I mean, other than like full-blown, large-scale war in the United States, it can't really get any worse for the American people.
Not really, man. No.
So, I don't know. Uncle Donnie, we're glad you're here. I just hope that the things that you said that you were going to do, that you do them. I do think that some of them are a pretty tall order that may take longer than 4 years to complete, however. But if we're getting down the road to something better, I'll be satisfied personally. Jason.
What?
It's that time.
You're so dumb.
Yeah, I may be dumb, but it's your turn for final thoughts of the show. So,
all right.
Here you go. You're solo on the screen, buddy. Have at her.
I know I took a little time off for personal reasons, but it is good to be back. I'll say I'm hopeful. And I would say for anybody that's not hopeful, put a little gratefulness in your heart. Pay attention to what's going on. Voice your concerns where they're needed, but keep your emotions out. And to you, because Trump is back, I will be here in the Nut Sweat studio on a regular basis. Because I don't know, not that it matters, but this is a small space. And
bring some shorts down.
I definitely overdressed. I'm happy that the camera only shoots this direction. But thank you again for anybody that is tuning in. And if you like what we're talking about, make sure to get it out there. And don't forget to go check out Richard Leonard over on Rumble. That is all.
Just every time, man, he just continues to get better. W's in the chat for Jason. whatever that means. Yeah, I think that we're at a precipice in this country where it's either going to get really good for us as Americans or it's going to continue to snowball. I don't know 1,000% that Donald Trump is the answer to solve all the things that ail us as a nation and as a community. But I sure think that he is a good way to start. We are not going to get anywhere in this country unless we come together. And so in the spirit of togetherness, I would say find things with the people around you, whether you agree with them or not, that bring you together, not push you apart. So maybe don't talk about politics. Maybe don't talk about the president. There's nothing you can do about it now anyway, other than either support it or bitch about it. We're either going to live or die by whether or not we decide to come together. One man's not going to do it. We got to come together as a nation. And so the choice is up to us. And everyone needs to make that choice individually. So just think about that maybe. Thanks for joining us. We'll end on that note. Goodbye. We'll see you next time. Good night.